Bushcraft 412, and today I want to do a quick, not a review for a change, just a little something different. Matt from Neverenuffammo had a video about some of his thrift store finds, and well, today I had a dentist appointment, so there's a Goodwill right across the street, so I popped in, and I didn't find any cool gear, but I found something just as cool. Some very, very cool books, and I'm not sure, how many of my viewers out there are into them, but I love adventure books. I love adventure stories and travel stories and mountaineering stories. I love those kind of books, and you don't often find them at the big name bookstores because a lot of those books, get printed once and they never get printed again. So they're kind of tough to come by, but over the years I've found a whole bunch at thrift stores and yard sales and stuff like that. And I just kind of want to show you what I got today and a couple other things I've actually picked up in the past 6 months. This one here, I just kind of looked at it because of the picture on it, and then it turns out this is actually a story about a guy in Alaska who makes kind of a trip through Alaska. So I picked this up from Goodwill today. It was 99 cents. Nice little read. I'm probably going to read this tomorrow. I'm real excited about this one. I'd never heard of it before, so, kind of exciting. Number 2, The Rough Riders by Teddy Roosevelt. I love Teddy Roosevelt. I think he's one of the best presidents we have, and I also like reading history and biographies, and I've read a couple other books on Teddy Roosevelt, and I really enjoyed them, and I saw this. I had to have it. He writes nice stuff, and his life was just full of adventure, and if you're into history, into that sort of thing, it's a great thing to have, and a little more expensive, $2.99 at Goodwill, but cool little thing. I'm going to read this. It's pretty short, so I'll probably read that at work. And the last one, another really cool one, is called Wild, which is a collection of survival stories. Real nice. It looks pretty much brand new. I just thought this was the coolest thing ever. And this is the most expensive at $3.99, but, I'm willing to pay for it, because even if you were to buy this online, you're still looking at a couple of bucks and a couple of bucks to ship it. And I love survival stories, especially if you look at some of the authors. This is a collection. You've got John Krakauer, which you're going to see a couple more books by him in a minute. James Dickey, who wrote Deliverance. Who else we got here? I recognize Jack London, of course. There's some big names in here, so definitely a really cool find. Real excited about that one as well. So let's get into some older stuff I found at the thrift stores and Goodwills and yard sales. Edible Wild Plants. Holy crap. I got this, I think, for $1 at a garage sale. One of the best finds I ever had. It's old, yeah. It's I definitely need a new one, but really cool to have. Travels with Charlie. Got this one. Is there a tag on it? No. Don't know where I got it. I actually think I got it maybe from a library sale. Maybe 25 cents. One of the greatest kind of adventure travel stories ever. John Steinbeck loads up an RV and just goes rip-roaring across the country. I used to take this book camping with me. I've read this book probably about 7-8 times. I used to take this every time I went camping and read this book when I went camping. Love this book. Great kind of travel adventure story if you're into that sort of thing. Another one, and this one's got the tag on it. I think it was a thrift store I found this one at. Walk Across America. Peter Jenkins. This is a story about a young guy who decides he's just going to kind of pack it up and walk from, I think, New Hampshire down to Georgia, something like that. Kind of almost the length of the Appalachian Trail, but he's kind of walking more on roads, but he just trying to find himself and takes off with no money, and really beautiful story. I read this, I think, twice. I loved it. But once again, this is probably a 99-cent thrift store find. Here's one I found. I believe I got this at a library as well. John Muir, Travels in Alaska. This is actually new, pretty much brand new. I have not had a chance to read this yet, unfortunately. I'm going to soon. But once again, I love those kind of adventure stories and travel stories. And John Muir was kind of like the, the granddaddy of them all. I mean, they've got like 18 trails named after the guy. Oh, here's a whole bunch I find. Apparently somebody at one of the thrift stores I frequent is into John Krakauer and mountaineering books, and that's good for me. Got this one for, who knows, maybe 50 cents a buck into thin air. Fantastic mountaineering story about the disaster that happened on Everest in 1996, where a whole bunch of people got killed. There's tons of books written about it, and you're going to see a couple of them. But great story. I've read this one probably 2 or 3 times. Love it. And once again, beautiful thrift store find. You know, I love finding stuff like this at thrift stores. High Exposure by David Bergiers. I read this one and noticed the foreword by John Krakauer. This is his story. He was actually making an IMAX film about Everest when the disaster that John Krakauer wrote about happened. And this is his version of the story, which he partook in the rescue. And we can see the tag here on this. I paid $2.60 for it. Cool item. Not in print anymore either. You're not going to find a lot of this stuff. Eiger Dreams by John Krakauer. Another mountaineering tale. Love mountaineering stories. Some of my absolute favorites. I have not read this one yet. It's still on my list of books to read. No price tag on it, so I can't tell you what I paid. But more than likely 50 cents to a buck. The 7 Summits by Dick Bass. A story about a guy climbing the 7 highest peaks on each continent. Haven't read this one yet either. Going too soon. Let's see if we got a tag on it still. No tag, but I believe I got this one at a Salvation Army thrift store. I'm thinking maybe like $1.50, $2, somewhere in that neighborhood. But you know, I love mountaineering stories, so great for me. Last that I'll show you is The Climb, Banatoli Bukriv. No clue how to pronounce that. This is actually based on the same disaster that happened that John Krakauer wrote about in Into Thin Air. But this is his version of the story, where he kind of makes himself out to be a hero, even though John Krakauer makes him out to be, you know, not so heroic. So this is his version of the story. Really cool, because now that I've read all 3 of the books out there, well, there's actually more. There's a couple more I haven't read, but real good story. You know, and it's kind of nice because you can read an incident from 3 different points of view, and kind of, it's really neat. But it's you know, great tale of mountaineering and just the work and effort that goes into climbing Everest, and you know, great stories. And you know, if you are, you know, like me, I hunt, I fish, I camp, I backpack, you know, I do it all. I do it all year round. There's something I'm doing. Snowshoeing, hiking, mountain climbing, you name it. I love this kind of stuff. I love books like this. I think it's the greatest thing on earth. I love reading about history and historical stuff. So this right here to me is just the nicest find on earth. And aside from gear, you can find a lot of cool stuff at thrift stores, and this shows you right here. You know, you can find a lot of adventure stories and things, you know, like the medicinal herbs book that will help with your prepping. You know, there's a lot of cheap, cool medical books and science books and things like that that can help you out. So, you know, when you're in there looking for gear and looking for cheap finds, take a stroll down that book aisle and find a couple other things, because even if you don't find something directly, there's always really cool books that you just can't get anymore. And hopefully you'll be lucky like me and you'll have one where someone has the same taste and donates these things all the time, you know. Alright, hope you enjoyed the video.